Good morning, people. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. I hope your day is going okay. Yes, today is March 23rd, 2021, and the time is 6:44 a.m. And the temperature outside here in New York City is about 43 degrees, and it's supposed to be up to the 60s today. So that's good news, and I definitely want to get go outside with my pack. Yep. Oh, yeah. I've been up now all night. I was very tired after going out yesterday, and yeah, I fell asleep early, and I woke up early. I woke up approaching midnight, and been up since. So yeah, I've been up for almost 7 hours, and I was watching videos. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Yes, bright-eyed and bushy-tail. Yeah, I want to talk about various topics. And in the title page, I wrote about, I wrote Fatima, um, this name of this woman by the name of Oriana, and a man's name by Pierre Sabak. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but it looks like it could be pronounced Sabak or Sabak. And I just learned of these two individuals, these two people, and I want to try to combine all these and make sure that the audio went. Yeah, I want to put the audio on maximum. Yeah, I'm just talking for the first time right now. So my voice is usually very soft in the morning. Yeah. So I hope you're all doing well. Well, yes. I want to talk about several things, and I feel a little anxious about these all this, but I think it's important to talk about. I kind of talked about it before, but listening to these videos I was just watching, it's a little troubling. You have people who research different topics, and some of these people may go through certain traumas, and they have firsthand knowledge about certain things, and that was um, revealed in one of the videos I was watching. Oriana, she goes by the name Oriana, a European woman, and she's been through a lot of what you call I guess you call it satanic ritual abuse, and just that word is problematic. It's horrible. Um, but when you talk about topics like human trafficking, um, historical events, and that maybe it all ties in. You know what it all ties into? Because, see, I'm not sure how long you're going to stay and watch this video, but I hope you stay and watch the whole thing. In a nutshell, this whole thing is about UFOs and aliens. Let me come up. My little dog wants to come up. Yes, many of you know I have little dogs. Yeah, that's my one. Yeah, it's my little boy Lavender. Yeah. So I want to try to tie this all in about the Fatima, or Our Lady of Fatima, and these two people that I just learned of, Oriana and Pierre. In a nutshell, it seems what the common denominator is is aliens or UFOs and their control over humanity. And I know it sounds out there. It sounds out there. But when you listen to many different videos and you hear different subjects, different experiences, again, I cannot verify the experiences. I've never met these people on YouTube, but I think about my own experiences and my being in the military and just things that happened to me. And you get to start thinking and realizing that this world is it's a lot going on. And society wants you distracted. Society wants you preoccupied with race, religion, or religiosity, uh, the elections that was recent, um, everything, sexism, nationalism, it's all this infighting. And I believe that they don't want you really focus on the essential. Yes, what goes on with within your society is important, but some things I feel now that is to distract you, to make you preoccupied about everything else but what's really going on. And watching these three people um, early this morning and yesterday, and when you put all these subjects together and you shake it up, and what do you come out with? You come out with UFOs, aliens, and beings that are here to what are they here for? So let me begin with the Fatima first. Now I signed up with this YouTuber, um, Farsight. Farsight, they are it's an organization that does what's called remote viewing, and they come on YouTube, and they also have a website, and you could get a paid subscription to their website to watch some of their private videos. And so I used to subscribe to them, and I also watch when they're on YouTube. Their YouTube site is free. And yesterday I watched one of their new um, videos, and it was about Fatima. And they remote viewed about Fatima, Our Lady of Fatima. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the subject of Fatima, in around 1918 or between 1917 or 1919, I forget, around that time. Um, and this took place in Portugal, which is in a western part of Europe. And it's in a very rural area. You had three young children, and this, what they call apparition, had appeared to the three children, and it came in the form of a woman, and all this light coming out from this woman, and she told them secrets, and these three things that were to happen, and so that's Fatima, and um, the children weren't believed, and they were, some of the people in the town were trying to intimidate the children, but the children said, no, this is what we experienced, this is what happened, blah blah blah. And then one of the promises was according to this apparition, and it came in as I said, a form of a woman, and this woman is supposed to be the Virgin Mary of the Bible. Okay, in the New Testament, the mother of Jesus, son of Joseph, okay, and uh, she said that that this miracle was going to happen in a couple of days, and she told the townspeople, and lo and behold, that event does happen. They did have cameras in those days, and so there was a mass meeting of the townspeople when they see something. So that basically is the Our Lady of Fatima story. I mean, it's more in detail, but there were three things, and one of the stories, it was written down and given to the the Catholic Church, and they're not supposed to release the information until who knows when. Um, but so this organization, Farsight um, organization that um, teaches remote viewing. So one of their assignment was to remote view that incident, and this is what they said. Um, in short, the lady, according to the remote viewers, um, they use the term oh, off-surface. In a nutshell, it's a spacecraft, and they were they remote viewed that there were people on this craft, the space thing, and they noted that there was a woman, there was also a man, and they also remote viewed that there were young children involved, three young children involved, and there in essence what happened was that this woman was a part of this spacecraft, that this was not so-called a spirit being. This was an alien, someone who's not from this world, on some spacecraft slash alien, a humanoid alien, but they had, I guess, certain abilities to um, appear. You know, they had the technology to appear in the form that they did. They were able, they were in a spacecraft, and they were able to move the spacecraft in front of the sun. And so they made it look as though the, the, that there was a link between the sun and the spacecraft. And it frightened people. Again, it's up in the sky. And they used their technology to um, get the people worried and to submit to their, that you have to behave this way, or this will happen to you. So it was fear-based, as they said in according to the people of Farsight. It was to promote fear, and they used religion. Portugal is heavily Catholic, heavily. And so they use in that narrative, using the power of the Catholic Church, or religion, to control the masses, that if you don't do this, this will happen. But they're beings. They're not like actual God as they want you to believe, but humanoids, not the Virgin Mary, um, and appearing to these young kids. And it's really something that here, some of those kids, one of them died very young. So how come this Virgin Mary is not protecting those children, and brought ridicule to those little? They were, I think, preteens. They're very young. And I think they were all siblings or friends or something. They were together. Um, you have to start asking yourself, why would a superior being, the mother of God, want to come to minors and tell them a message. Why can't this uh, angelic, godly being go to the masses and say, hey, everybody, I'm the mother of Jesus and I see you from heaven and you better do this or that. You have to start asking yourself why. And then now with the remote view, now as I said there was a woman, but there was also an adult man. And the adult man was angry at the woman for they the man thought that the lady was overstepping what she was supposed to do. So it was like an abuse of power, and that's what the argument they said seemed to be about. That the lady was not supposed to be doing what she was doing, and she used the power to manipulate a whole population. And so my mouth dropped. I mean, it's on. I mean, I saw the video yesterday. You just go to Far Sight, and you'll see it on YouTube. The video in question. Um, this was the first time the person that narrated the that video for that day for that video um, was a one of the she is a remote viewer, the person that hosted that session, but she she was now an interviewer. She was interviewing I think two people that remote viewed that. She's usually the one that's behind that is doing the remote viewing, but this was the first time I ever saw her actual interview someone who um, remote viewed the Fatima incident that happened in Portugal. Okay, so I thought that was interesting. Um, so you have that phenomenon. Um, so again, you have someone who is presenting themselves to make others think that they're more powerful, more important than they are. Again, it reminds me of The Wizard of Oz. And The Wizard of Oz, for those who don't know, was a movie that came out in 1939. Um, Dorothy is the main character, and this happened in Nebraska. I think. No, not Nebraska. What's that word? Not Nebraska. Kansas. Kansas City. Um, and she gets caught in a storm, Dorothy, and she gets hit in the head by debris, and she dreams something, and in the dream she is trying to get back home, and she meets with this godly figure that's manipulating her and say, oh, you got to do this or that, and um, they learn at the end of the movie that this wizard in this mystical place was a phony baloney. And he had a mechanical device to alter his voice, to project an image, like a holographic image. And Dorothy had a little dog, and Dorothy the little dog went behind this curtain and pulled it open and exposed who was the so-called godlike figure, which was just an older human guy who wants to make himself seem like he's a god, and he gets exposed. So again, you have people who want you to think that they are more than they are and that you're lost without them. So this Fatima seems to remind me of that they were just they had technology and they exploited it. So that's Fatima. And all of these stories that I'll be saying is all related because it's all about this UFO alien agenda. And then the next person I mentioned was his name is Pierre Sabak. First time I ever heard of the guy. He has a website, a YouTube channel, and he had interviewed the lady Oriana, and both of them really, especially the lady Oriana, really different. But Pierre Sabak, he studies. He wrote several books, and he discusses about the what they call. He's part of the exopolitics. My understanding of exopolitics is about the really off-planet life and how different governments that are out there in other planets, whatever, or dimensions, are interacting with planet Earth. That's my understanding of exopolitics. And he was at a conference about that topic, exopolitics, and he talked about again. He studies the etymology of words, the origin of words, and he's studied the um, the angelic uh, angelic histories and how it's actually tied into it's discussed in the Bible, and how these angels is actually um, they call them crew members, that these are alien crew members aboard ships or crafts. And he used the etymology words that used in the Bible to make this correlation. And when you really think about it, in the New Testament, like they talk about the fall of man and what happened with Eve and this being. Now, Adam and Eve, they weren't broken before, but it was upon eating the fruit that everything about their physiology changed. It made them die earlier. They tasted death. Now again, I don't know, you know, the Bible, the modern day people who study the Bible, theologians. This is a spiritual death and a physical death. But what is spirituality? Unless we're what they call spirit beings, and we became trapped in a human vessel. Again, I don't know, that's speculation on my part. But this Pierre Sabak, um, he pretty much was saying that the angels that they talk about in the Bible, or let's say in when you go to Europe and you see all these statues of angels, you notice all the angels, they show adult angels and children. And do you notice that all the angels, all of them that you see, of the sculptures that they made back in the day are all male. All of them are male. There are no female angels. How is that? How is that? It's just something that you have to notice. And little children, and they're little boy children, no little girls. There are no little girl angels in the the drawings, the old drawings from like the Renaissance period of Europe and before that, and even in the Bible, Old and New Testament, you never heard of a male angel, but you notice in history, as time went on, they little children, and you got it's why the babies naked? Why? You got to ask yourself, what does a God or an adult angel do with little children? And it's just weird when you ask yourself. See, I was raised by television, like many of us, watched all these shows, the Bible shows, especially during the holidays, right? And the angel's supposed to be nice things, and then the little cupid, the little babies are what they call the cupids, but they're angels. But what would a baby? Why would a baby, during like Valentine's Day, they get like a cupid slash infant with wings and shooting its arrows on people, adults, to make them um, fall in love, right? And the arrow is a phallic symbol as well. So I'm wondering whether the phallic, the arrow and the infant shooting the arrow, whether it's really something supposed to be suggestive. But but because we are raised by television and the Bible, Sunday school, and all this, they play it down and they make it seem innocent. But in watching some of these videos about things, human trafficking, that what is you never question. You never question. I never even questioned what a nun looks like. I used to watch what they call the Flying Nun. That movie came out. I mean, it was a TV series that came out. I think it was the 1960s. It took place in Mexico, and you have a white lady living there. And you got this guy named Carlos, and he looked Caucasian looking, but the dark eyes, dark hair, um, and this nun supposed to be able to fly, and how you took that as like she's more holy than everybody. That's why she can fly. Um, but what was the point about bringing that up? Um, I forgot my point. Hopefully, I remember. But either way, popular culture is showing you um, about that things that are considered angelic is good and wholesome. But when you really start um, analyzing it and thinking, oh, I don't know, with the flying nun, that was a programming of you to accept, the habit. Like if you're not a Catholic and raised in that type of thing, you um, who do you see nowadays wearing their head completely covered, everything, but Muslims. But in modern day, what they call the Habab, I think they call it, Hajib, I forget. Excuse me for not knowing exactly how to pronounce the name, but in Muslim societies, especially in Arab-speaking countries, where the women have to cover everything, and um, the whole head is about modesty in a long, long outfit, like an outerwear. It, it covers even their feet. Um, when I would say when a so-called Westerner, non-Muslim sees that, you wonder how come they're covered up like that. But in actuality, the nuns, they're wearing the same type of thing. See, I would see seeing a European wearing something like that. I was raised by television to think that was okay and nothing weird about it. But then now with the since 9/11 thing in New York City, um, to show uh, people in the Muslim world wearing that, we start to question it. So it's just a correlation that, in essence, they're both wearing the same type of thing. That's all I'm getting at. And it's no, I'm not saying it in any judgment against people who wear things to cover the whole entire body, and some of them only the eyes, the eyeballs are seen. Again, this is their belief system, and it's no criticism. I'm not trying to criticize them, but just um, make mention that when you see things through a particular perspective, you don't think anything of it. And then when it's brought to your consciousness, because then it's being represented in a different way, and so it's perceived differently, even though it's the same thing. So even the Bible, even in the Quran, um, they make mention about angels and things like that. But we are seeing it through the eyes of how the church taught us how to see the Bible, and not what may actually be the case. So this guy named Pierre Sabak studied the etymology and the terminology used in certain religious texts, whether it be the Bible or the Quran, and that certain words really is really depicting that the angels are aliens, are beings from that reside in these spacecrafts, and even in there are even paintings, old paintings during the Renaissance period of Europe, show what we call today UFOs. And UFOs, as it pertains to paintings of Jesus and Mary of the Bible. I kid you not. You just do your research, just type in UFOs and Jesus or the Virgin Mary, and they show it. So it's giving you a different look now at the Bible. And I was someone that I used to be a Christian, and I read the Bible through and through. It took me 9 months to read the whole entire Bible. That was my assignment. Every year I wanted to do that. Um, but it's something I did, and it's something that I believed in. I was just waiting for Jesus to come, waiting. Why even worry about anything else out there? Because Jesus is going to come. So relax and enjoy. Keep busy, and don't get so preoccupied with things. But I had a paradigm shift in 2015. Uh, and But even before then, I sensed that I needed to change. I was experiencing things, about politics that's happening here in New York City, the racism that happens here, and it shook my attention, and I wanted to learn more about my African roots. And here I was going to a church. I mean, nothing wrong with that church I was going to, but I felt I outgrew that church. But it was funny that when I did leave the church, and when I did come back, I got a phone call because I did belong to a ministry there. And when I stopped showing up, the person in charge did contact me, and I shared with them what was going on. And I know we talked more than once, and she pretty much, it was a threat. Well, if you don't come back, well, you're not going to be able to come back to our ministry. So it was really hostile. And I just kept, neutral about it, because I decided for myself. That happened in I stopped going the last Sunday of 2013, 2014. I wanted to expand um, and examine things. And so sometime in 2014 is when she called me. But I said to myself when I was still, the month of December of 2013, I said, you know something, the last Sunday of this month is going to be my last time in church. I said that to myself, and I don't regret it. To me, religion is just a control system. Tries to control every aspect. And as I mentioned with Fatima, that the Catholic Church, they want to control your sex life. You're not allowed to use contraceptives, all this stuff. And yeah, my mother is Catholic, and yeah, and she had 7 kids, so yep, she wasn't allowed to use contraceptives. And but after she had me, I'm the youngest, and no more kids. So you can't afford it. And Catholics are not the only ones that are forced to have a lot of children. There are other belief systems today, and they push, they have a minimum, that other group has a minimum of 8 children. So, again, it's about a control thing. When you control someone's bedroom and control what people eat, you're controlling them. You're like a robot. And then they use a lot of fear, and then they twist the scriptures in order to control you. Now, how could they control you when you have kids? Well, one thing with kids, um, you um, you feel stuck, and it is a it. I mean, children are a blessing, but they can also stress you out, and it just entraps you. You're caught up. But either way, so so this guy Pierre Sabak, um, he talks about different, like in the Old Testament. Um, I did mention about the serpent deceiving Adam and Eve. Now their bodies were so-called pure, but upon the introduction of whatever what they ate, don't you think that maybe that was an AI? Something they ate served almost as a virus, and it destroyed a big part of what they used to be, right? And they said the symbolism of the snake on the tree supposed to represent the DNA. And I said, they got a point there. That, see, a lot of things in the Bible is really about symbolism. Symbolism of events that's supposed to represent a larger story, a part of a larger story. And I would tend to agree that in what I'm hearing about now. Or let's say also in Genesis, I think that it was Genesis chapter 6, verse 6. It said the sons of, where did I go? The son of man mingled with the daughters of, no, I'm sorry, the Son of God mingled with the daughters of man. And what that was really about, again, sons of God. Talk about, again, who is God? The Elohim. It's a collective. So it's an alien, something from some other world or realm, getting sexually involved, or what we call genetic modification of the indigenous women of this world. But see, they're not going to say it like that when you go to church. They just kind of overlook it, and it's just something spiritual. But they never go deep in it in the church. Why is that? Because they don't. They can't. They can't. Um, They may not know themselves, or they don't want to go there. But what does it really say? Why is that okay? Why should the sons of God have access to women? Well, what about they mentioned this the daughters. Oh, hang on, the daughters of men. What about the sons of men? See that? There's no sons of men, but there's daughters of men. Why is it just on one gender and not the other? Could be a program. And this reminds me of something else before I forget. Um, and I'll get to Oriana as well. But they're all related. I did mention in the past video, not too long ago. Um, okay, where's that? I'm sorry. Oh, brother. I hate when that happens. I hate when that happens. You have a thought to say, it'll come to me. Um, I'm sorry, it'll come to me. So again, with the Oriana now, see, she's a YouTube. She was on various channels. She was on Kerry Cassidy project with her Project Camelot, and she also was a guest with this Pierre Sabak. She was abused as a child, and she eventually runs away. But she studied about AI. She was always fascinated with math, and she was um, abused. I think satanic ritual abuse, and you find that you have families that do this for generations and generations, and I wonder whether or not they are being controlled by outside forces. And it seems like the end product that they want out of all this is to redesign through trauma this special individual. It seems like trauma seems to increase your mental awareness and could actually bring out um, what do you call it, psychic abilities, special abilities. It brings out, I guess, whatever was in there, but the traumatization is what manifested. And that if you have beings from other worlds, as in the Bible, it says in the Bible that the sons of God came down here and mixed with the indigenous population. Don't you think that they're still here? They never said that they left. And so, how do they manipulate people? Well, you traumatize them. You have all these wars that are going on for really no reason. But you have wars. Wars traumatize people. Look at the people who are in the military. The Vietnam War that many of us are familiar with, they came back from the military traumatized. And those who can't cope, now they introduce drugs into the system. And you learn also through social media that a lot of the drug scenes, this so-called war against drugs, is actually a phenomenon that is the result of the government promoting drugs. So even though they say the war on drugs, when you see that a war on anything, that means that's what they're promoting. So they say something opposite of what they actually are about. They're all about promoting drugs to control. Drugs control your mind. Drugs also could possess. Look, just go in any urban setting, and who you see? Drug addicts. This area here, you have drug dealers and drug addicts. Homeless people. A lot of the homeless are um, abuse drugs or alcohol. It's horrible. and they all seem to act and look the same. Why is this? Maybe it's these beings that inhabit our vessel. This body is a biological vessel, and when you take these substances, whether it be alcohol or some of these drugs, that these outside stuff, um, beings or energies, whatever way you want to call it, can then invade your body and take control of your mind and have you do things that you would not ordinarily do. And maybe that's how they feed upon us. If you've heard of things like this over the internet, that you have beings who thrive on negativity. They thrive on fear, anxiety, hatred. They, when we have those emotions, these these emotions feed these low energy things. We are their food. Hey, good morning, good morning. Good to see you, Amethyst. I hope all is well. Yes, all is well here. Yeah, I'm talking about, in a nutshell, Amethyst, UFOs, aliens, and all these things that I mentioned, whether it's Lady of Fatima in the Catholic Church. Again, I mentioned about some of these people on YouTube, and this with the Peter Sabak, and now the Oriana, and the experiences. And it seems like, um, now with the Oriana, she's more like she's good in math, and it seemed like her traumatization through her by her parents was to again to tap onto to develop her psychic abilities, but she just wouldn't have it, and she eventually runs away. It wasn't specific exact what age, but I know she did mention at the age of 7 she was stealing food. You know, she was on the street stealing food to survive, and then she eventually um, went to to the system. She says, "Look, I'm entitled to education, blah blah blah." I do not know what part of Europe she's from. That I don't know. She did travel a lot. Again, she was a guest on um, Kerry Cassidy on Project Camelot. Yeah, yeah. Her name is Ori, Ori, Anna, A, as in Nancy, A, Ori Anna, and she looks like she's been through a lot of trauma. And it watching the interview with her, she speaks very fast. Um, Maybe at times rambles, but if you actually just really try to listen really closely what she's saying, it's really interesting. Um, you could tell that she's very, very, probably has a very high IQ. Um, but it could be, she could appear a little um, unsettling to watch, because she does have a different air about her. But I do sense with her a genuineness, and someone, especially at the very end of the interview with Kerry Cassidy of Project Camelot, that, that's the name of her channel, Kerry Cassidy's channel, that she was interviewed by Kerry Cassidy. Uh, it, I feel sorry for her, because I can tell with her body language, her facial expression, she's been through hell and back. And but she uses this platform. I think she also wrote a book. I'm interested in getting her book. Also, I'm very very interested in getting her book. Um, I sometimes when you want to get outside of the box, there is a price to pay. When you open open up a Pandora's box. You can never reclose it. And so it is frightening to find out about reality, what is really going on there. Yeah, people who are being traumatized by relatives, parents, uh, schools, teachers. Why? Why is this? Well, again, that other component. It you have people who feed off of these traumas. Also, there's human trafficking. Ori, O as in olive oil, R as in rabbit, I as in ice cream, Anna, A-N-A. That's A as in apple, N as in Nancy, A as in apple. Um, there is a there is human trafficking. So all what's happened to her, I mean, her parents did that to her, and then she broke loose, and she hid out for years, and then her family, she has half siblings that tracked her down and then tried to, you're welcome, Amethyst. And yeah, she has half siblings that caught up with her, and they want to have her committed because see they are about keeping the secret of this traumatization and what they're all about. They she has knowledge, and again, even though she was traumatized, see, um, it seems like traumatization, it could either make you or break you. It could make you or break you, and I guess it's how you express the pain that you went through. You could take that pain and make it into art, so to speak. Use that negative energy because energy is just energy. Energy is energy, whether so called good energy or so called bad energy. If you harness that energy slash trauma and have it work for you, and so that's what she did. This Oriana, that is what she did. And I think she wrote a book. I want to get her book. I definitely want to get her book. And she, she was able to go to school because again she ran away from home and she had to live on the streets and she had to fight and all this. And she, as an adult, had an opportunity to live in a what do you call it? A Tibetan city, like a what do you call it? Where Tibetan monks go. They're they're Tibetan monasteries in Europe, and that's where she went three over three times. Each time is for a 3 year period, and they teach you meditation. So again, that's how she tried to help herself and heal herself by taking control of her body, her thoughts, and she made it work for her. And she's into physics and what do you call it? What do you call that thing? Some type of physics. She's into math and yeah. So this girl probably, see they downplay women, intellectual women, women who really have a high IQ. We're perceived as being crazy, um, unstable, cuckoo, you name it, right? She may be all that, but she's speaking the truth. I perceive she's speaking the truth, and that I saw in the at the end of the interview with Kerry Cassidy on Project Camelot. She actually has a warm heart, a sensitive, caring heart, and that supersedes anything. So yes, sometimes people might look or express themselves in a way, but um, trauma is, yes, she was traumatized, um, and it's like a scar on you, like you ever run and you skin your knee, you got a scar on your knee, and it's there for the rest of your life. You're still able to run and jump and do the, but the scar is will always be there, and that's what it seems like with her. I think I remember now what I forgot earlier. That was mentioned on YouTube that you have uh, underground bases, according to researchers. I mean, I've heard this for the past 20 years. I did underground government bases, but this okay. Um, what do you call it? The organization called Farsight. They also come on YouTube, and they're the ones that are remote. They're remote viewers. That organization, and they remote viewed that about the Lady of Fatima, the incident that happened in Portugal around 1917 or 1918, around that time, and they made it look like that the event was some spiritual thing. But when they remote viewed it, it was just a humanoid that's on a spacecraft that overdid her authority to make people think that she was the Virgin Mary and that you better do this and that or else to this um, rural community in um, Portugal, which is in Europe. Yeah, so this same organization, Farsight, did a remote view. Um, Interesting, they didn't give what the question was for this remote view. But either way, what they saw was these children that were being tortured in cages and just horrific stuff they saw. And then they said that they saw a man, what they call a men in black, uh, on a device, I guess a phone of some type, and they were in contact with spacecraft. They use another terminology when you're remote viewing. When it's a spacecraft, they say an off-surface structure. Yeah, that's how it works. Off-surface structure, and that they were beings in this off-surface structure slash UFO slash spaceship, whatever what you want to call it, and that the the men in black are in connection with the spacecraft. And isn't that what the movie The Matrix, what they call the Men in Black? That remember in the Matrix movie that came out in 1999, weren't they all about controlling humanity? That they themselves weren't the people in charge, but they were working on behalf of who was in charge. And that they were taking, excuse me, had control or were trying to control the status quo, because in the Matrix, remember that the humans were inside these little pods, being that their energy was being harvested by a computer, and that their whole life, mental life, was a computer generated reality. This is Hollywood. That is Hollywood. So again, remember Matrix, the men in black in that were like the police force to maintain the status quo, to keep people in those that mental state of of enslavement. Remember, the whole reality was this computer generated world, and that some of them had broke free, and they were trying to communicate with other people who are still connected to this computer system. But what is that computer system? And that's what Oriana talked about. It is about AI, artificial intelligence, and they said something like, I don't fully understand artificial intelligence, but that artificial intelligence is something that is made by others, made by people, such as the cell phone. She lifted up herself. This is artificial intelligence. It's made by people. And so it all seems to tie together. Artificial intelligence. What is happening? Okay, I remember that those people who are being kidnapped. That person that was remote viewing um, the underground facility, and then the man in black on the phone. Well, where was that? Where did they see that? Well, the man in black was by what they call a state park or a federal preserve, the wilderness. And it was about human traffic. And, oh, okay. Um, I forget which one, whether it was Ariana that said it or Pierre Sabak. That's another individual that the video that I saw today. His video, Pierre Sabak, Sabak is spelled Sabak, and he talked about also the oh God, what's that? The one of them talked about the kidnapping and people. Oh, okay. There was an agreement. They said you have the governments on this planet are in talks with beings from other worlds. And the agreement is you allow us to take people or, individuals from the state or federal parks for X, Y, and Z. And the government said yes, but you can only take X number a year. People are being kidnapped. Thousands. They're stealing infants, toddlers, adults. And in the remote viewing that this Farsight Institute um, website, and they come on YouTube, they made mention about that that they were at this what do you call it, this wilderness. They're being stolen there. So the stories seem to be correlating. They all seem to be, um, how do you say, supporting each other's story. Again, the remote viewers, they don't know what they're not told what they're going to be, what the question was. Anything, they just are given an assignment. Okay, remote, remote view coordinates X, Y, and Z, and that's all they do. And then they relate what they see. So there is a human trafficking, kidnapping that's going on that the government knows about worldwide. And they're going to these remote areas, these camping grounds, and stealing people. And it's all about these aliens. And a lot of these alien things, they're according to these researchers, that they are putting what they call chemtrails in the environment to introduce the human body to these nanotechnologies that affect your behavior. Just look in this neighborhood that I live in New York City. Go look at the people on the street. You don't think that they have a bug loose? You know what they put in those drugs? Could you imagine what they're putting in drugs? I remember in church many years ago, I used to live in the West Indies, and yeah, there are drugs in the West Indies, and the pastor was mentioning that the drug that they put a curse. This is my pastor. He's a Protestant guy. He came out of Catholicism and he became a Protestant. And he was telling the congregation that that you have people who put what they call curses upon these drugs. What is a curse? But an intent. But what's really going on? Oh, and a curse is also think of that as a like an incantation, which is a bunch of words or phrases, but it's to program against that person. Think of a curse as a virus that's being introduced to your mind. What are drugs? Drugs, the type of drugs. Those drugs are drugs that affect your mind. That's the key thing. To change the way you think, make you into a zombie, so they could control you. Okay, and so you have people high up, and they want to get rid of their competition. Maybe I mean I'm just speculating. Maybe they want to get rid of their competition. Um, Again, if there's an alliance between governments and these aliens, hey, for every person you take, you have to give us X amount of money, or you have to give us technology, or whatever. It seems like all these stories seem to all mesh in together, that you have the ritual abuses that are being done upon children, which inadvertently uh, alters their thinking to make them do tasks such as what you like the Jason Bourne series, that those were movies, Jason Bourne movies that came out, the five Jason Bourne movies. What was that all about? Someone who was traumatized by the government. uh, I think he was yeah, he was in the military, and then the government took him and did mind control over him. They gave him implants in the body to control every aspect of him, and what ultimately what he was used for. He was used for, I get like as a hitman. He was a professional hitman, and his senses were increased through traumatization. So it doesn't matter whether the traumatization came by the government or family members or your pastor. The outcome is basically the same, to control you, and they use your body to get things done. So you pretty much a robot for their needs, whether it's a so-called sexual need or physical need, using them as a hitman, um, or a spy. All these things going on. And again, it seems like these agreements, and then also made mention about what's called the virus thing. They said this whole thing. Um, I forget which specific individual mentioned about that. I think it was with Kerry Cassidy's interview. Yeah, I think it was Kerry Cassidy's interview with Oriana. Um, it could have been that one. Um, and that the I mean, that the virus thing is part of the AI. They want you to get these injections, but the injections have the alleged virus. So they are forcing you to get the virus in you. And you hear about people who are dying from these injections. It could be a day later or a couple of days later, but the outcome is still the same, your demise. And that these injections that they want to give people is to really um, introduce these AI and prepping your body to become what they call cyborgs. And it just sounds like science fiction. This whole thing sounds like science fiction. But what is science fiction? You have people who have inside information. Just look at, just and start asking yourself questions. Military, people who served in the military. Why so many of these people, especially after World War II, so that so the what was that? What is it? Vietnam War. What was going on in Vietnam? You know, so the Vietnam is a tropical place. What do they have growing there? What do they have growing there? Okay. What do they have growing in Afghanistan? What do they have? Drugs. Why do you care about drugs? Well, they care enough about it to bring military there and spend countless dollars to control these areas. And I think it's evil. I think it's evil what's going on. And all these things. So, what I was going to bring up with the Vietnam War. These people came back from the war traumatized. What happened in Vietnam War? Isn't war war? They did drugs. And they were smuggling in drugs through the cadaver, the bodies, the dead bodies of the soldiers. Did you hear about that? Why is this preoccupation with drugs? If it's a war on drugs, remember that? Remember Ronald Reagan, who was president from 1980 to like 88? Remember that? He said there's a war on drugs. Just say no. Well, it turns out during his administration that they were piping in drugs in certain neighborhoods. What neighborhoods? Black neighborhoods, black people neighborhoods. So they're pumping all these drugs in our black neighborhoods and then arrest those same people that they gave to. They pumped it in those neighborhoods and they had the black dudes sell it to the general population in the black community, and then they throw them in jail. You know, 3 strikes and you're out. And look at the people in government now. Our new administration, they were about the 3 strikes and you're out. Both of them. Both of them. I'm not going to say them by name, but you know who I'm talking about. Both people were the demise of Black America and other people or any other community that was targeted with drugs. So how could you say it's a war on drugs when you're about it? What's in these drugs? It could be AI. They they could spray the plants with the nanoparticles, whatever. They inject, remember, they inject it in their body. So it's in their body, it goes and travels all throughout their body. All those synthetic drugs, you don't think they put something in there? Look at their behavior. Look at them. Look at them. And what do? They want to grope women. You just go walk past it. They're going to try to, what happened to me last year? I was groped by this pervert, this homeless guy. What a lot of these homeless guys, what were they about? So it seems like these drugs make you sexual. It makes you do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. It makes you go out of your mind. And the all on what? Science. Maybe they're gathering data. They do experiments on people. And then the people have to go to the clinic, whatever, and they get data from them. Remember the Tuskegee experiments. What happened with the Tuskegee? They were doing studies on Black people. You think we're the only community that they did that upon? But they did it upon that community because it was an isolated rural black society, place in I think it was in Alabama somewhere in the South or Tennessee. I get confused from the two states. Yeah. So you have people who these scientists. Who are the scientists? Well, again, in history, you have the World War II, and what happened after World War II? The scientists of Nazi Germany, and both countries, the U.S. and Russia in particular, were both out to get to gather these scientists, not to throw them in jail, but to utilize them. So here you have people who did crimes against humanity, and yet both of these countries are using them against their own people. Horrible, isn't it? Horrible. Yeah, so um, these are things that you start to really wonder why. Well, both of these countries want the supremacy and world domination. But I think, see, they want you to think both halves are enemies, but I really think both halves are really the same coin, but they do different aspects to get a particular agenda done. And that's just my personal opinion. And the also the videos I watched today with um, Kerry Cassidy's channel, Project Camelot, um, that you have the you know the today's administration and last year's administration for the past 4 years, and that they mentioned that both of them were um, planned. So it wasn't just something that just happened last year, that all what you saw transpire last year and who was in office last year, that it was all planned for these people to come in. And it's all about that same agenda. That the technology and again the last administration, I mean the prior administration, they also remember they talked about um, the what do you call the space force, yeah, space force. What is the space force all about? That they're supposed to send. Remember, we're going to send a lady to Mars. Why do you want to go to Mars? Why do you want to go to any of these places? Why? See, they gave me clues, and I'm wondering whether um, the only reason why to go there that you have a supply. I only can speculate that they're getting the spacecrafts ready to send cargo, but a massive amount of cargo over to Mars. Maybe what they call what do you call it? A colony, maybe. Or you're just going to go on vacation, or you're forming a colony, or a break off shoot over there. I don't know. And it's interesting that I may mention that certain movies use the same people. Like you have Matt Damon. He remember he played in the movie the um, something about Mars, and that he got trapped on Mars. They use that same guy, Matt Damon, to also play the Jason Bourne series, the guy who's being mind controlled. He was what they call a super soldier, and he has amnesia, and he had killed people, and then he had an awakening. The programming started breaking down, and he became aware of who he was. It was a process of him learning about who he really was. So again, it seems like Hollywood used the same people to play. If you watch their movies, that it's actually giving a story. about Mars, him being on Mars, and then the super soldiers. They're all related. You notice with the super soldier program, it is about travel to other planets. And so maybe that, again, with the prior administration, that again, they're setting up confusion. They don't want you to notice what's really going on. And again, he was a wealthy business, a real estate person. Um, and you look at all he, I mean, yeah, and I did vote for that person too. I'm being real. I want to be real, but I'm also trying to connect the dots as I get them. Um, I just thought it was something that in today's video with Oriana, yeah, Oriana and Project Camelot, that say that these administrations, that it was all planned ahead of time, and it wasn't just that they fell into politics. And that's what I thought it was. They just kind of fell into politics, but they said no. All what you see was planned ahead of time. It wasn't just an organic situation that just popped up and they're out to get them. I don't know, but hearing the explanation it seemed feasible, and all the stories seemed to mesh, and this push about getting an inoculation for something that 99.9% of the population has no problem. But they're focused on that less than 1% and to give you a drug that was pushed less than a year to make and was not really um, tested on subjects. But now you are the subject. They don't have to now give it to, experiment. You are the experiment. So don't take it. Do not take it. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but hey, what did people do in the past if they had a cold or flu? See, they're not treating people for influenza or pneumonia. That's what the people are dying of. Once they die and the coroner's office examines these bodies, the examiner is saying these people died from pneumonia and influenza. And those people who died were not treated for influenza nor, or pneumonia. They're being treated for so-called COVID, but they're not dying of COVID. They're dying from those other ailments. And why so? Why? Why? And why the elderly? Well, it's a great way to remove the elderly population and again conserving the resources. You have sick people in high places, mentally crazy people who are in charge over governments and everything. And just what they did in World War II. Who did they get rid of first? The elderly people and those who have mental disorders and um, physical ailments, and just wipe them out. Sorry, my battery's going low now. Yeah, they just wipe them out. Oh, good. I see that it's like really foggy outside, but the sun is coming out. Yeah, it's supposed to be really, really interesting, really nice this morning in the 60s. Yeah, so yeah, I have to hurry. I want to go outside with my pack out there. Yeah, but so trying to wrap this all up. Whether about Our Lady of Fatima that happened in the early part of the 1900s, to control a religious population and fear bait them, but they were actually, according to the remote viewers of Farsight Institute, that these were off um, off surface structure slash spaceships with beings on it, and they used their technology to make the people think that it was a spacecraft. but they made the sun look like it was moving about, but it was actual the spacecraft that was moving about, dancing about, and to frighten a very susceptible population. And then with Oriana, um, and this other fellow by the name of Pierre Sabak, their research on AI and the angels, and that the angels were just what they call um, aliens, and aliens who were part of a crew. That's according to Pierre. Yeah, that the angels and aliens are the same beings, and they were a part of a crew, and that they had their agenda. And again, look at pictures of the angels. What do they look like? And again, using to tie that in, who do they show in Europe as angels or the Cupid? A Cupid is an infant, a young person, and they show statues of these little kids, Cupids, with big angels, and they're doing things of a sexual nature. But I mean, we've all seen things like that, but we never thought anything of that, that it was something holy. But then when, see this cognitive dissonance is had programmed us to not see what's really there. Pedophilia, pedophilia, the traumatization of children, such as the traumatization what happened to Oriana, um, and using these traumatized children to become super soldiers, to become augmented, and eventually we call cyborg and controlled by AI. It all is wrapped in together. Yeah, all seems related, and then you see the uh, the government. They said about the governments getting going in alliance with these beings from other worlds and giving them permission to kidnap uh, people on this planet, and especially in those remote areas, those campgrounds that you've seen, those natural preserves. People are being kidnapped from there, and that's also substantiated with the Farside Institute, that they saw that the so-called man in black communicating with a device of a spacecraft, and that there are underground bases of these children being tortured to get what they call the adrenochrome. That's a chemical that I guess the adrenals secrete, and it's supposed to give you a high. Those people consume their blood of these victims, make them a high, make them have a high, and to promote longevity because they don't want to die. It's all tied in, and it makes sense now. And it makes sense when you go outside and see all these people walking around like zombies, and people who have been traumatized. Go to Hawaii. I used to live in Hawaii, and I saw a lot of these people from the West Coast that live in Hawaii who are traumatized. Go talk to the average white person there living in Hawaii, what they call the beach bums, and they do drugs. And many of them come from really affluent communities. They're not like poor black people. These are white people from affluent um, upbringings. Yeah, I even met one guy. His father was the president of this. Yeah, I'm not going to give the name of the airline, but a major airline, and he was at the for rehabilitating drug rehabilitation. Yeah, they do drugs and or alcohol. Yeah, to numb down their pain. And what's the pain? And many of the pains that these people were abused as children, sexually trafficked, all this awful stuff. It's not just black people being tortured, but they torture black people in different ways. They experiment on black people, you know, but it seems like it's all coming out. So each one teach one. It's not all in your head, people. Take care of your health, no matter what. Take care of your body. Love you. Learn to love yourself. That you are not alone, and you have people who may be jealous of you because you're speaking out. Um, that's their problem. Speak out. Speak your truth. Uh, do no harm, but protect yourself if someone's trying to hurt you. You have a right to protect your body from someone who's trying to physically assault you. Okay? Yes, so it's not in your head. And all these things are correlated. And again, in a nutshell, what's happening with all this, it's about um, other world beings that want to control your body and mind and to transhumanism, like in the movie The Matrix, all about transhumanism, taking your being and making it be used for something else, and you becoming a robot. It's another form of slavery. Yeah. So let me go now. I've been on for 91 minutes here. I know it's a very sensitive topic, but yes, be kind to yourself, people. This is hard for everybody. It's hard for me to hear this information, but I think it answers a lot of questions. Yes, clean and detox your body from these nanoparticles. It could be, some of these things could be nanos that are giving you vibrations in your body, weird sensation in your body, um, the hacking of your body from artificial intelligence, or being what they call a targeted individual. It's all related, and they just take doing studies on people, harassing people, and they're sick minds. So that's about all that I have to say. And yes, let me know what your thoughts are. And if you like this content, um, you could support my channel by PayPaling me. I have a link on my channel. You go to the my channel Spirit Journey, and on the banner on the right hand side, you will see my PayPal me link. Just click on the link, follow the prompt, and I thank you in advance for any amount that you are comfortable with. I thank you. And again, yes, please write your comments below. Share this video with friends and family members. Yes, thank you again. Peace, love, and joy. Yes, take care of yourself, take care of your body, and love the person you see in the mirror. Yes, they don't want you to love yourself. It's not your fault that they did these things to you, okay? Thank you again. Peace, love, and joy. Bye bye.